Welcome back, once again adventurers, to Let's Play Robotics Notes Elite. In the last episode, following Mizuka Ire's funeral, Kaito and Akiho decided to head over to apologize to Hiromu for what happened to Subaru. But as they got to Subaru's house, they discovered that Juna had already apologized on behalf of the Robotics Club. But even so, Hiromu was instructed Juna not to let anyone else affiliated with the Robotics Club, her included, interact with Subaru from this point forward. And it was at that moment that Kaito had inadvertently let slip the fact that the Robotics Club has been dissolved by Vice Principal Usui. Which unfortunately has Juna once again going further down on a downward spiral of emotion. Which brings us to this point, because Kaito has once again returned to Uchagaoka Park. Unable to bring myself to go home, I end up here. The VAB is visible in the distance. At this hour it's lit up. I haven't seen those lights in a long time. They're currently assembling a rocket for the first time in years. That should have me excited. Normally it would have. It should, but I don't feel that way at all right now. In fact, I'm feeling pretty depressed. I didn't come here with any particular goal in mind. I don't even have the energy to play Kill Ballad. That's how serious this situation is. As I gaze absent-mindedly at the TNSC, my Pokécom begins to ring. There are a number of people who this could be. Could be Akiho, could be Kaito's parents, could be anyone. It's Frau. We haven't really spoken at all since the incident, now that I think about it. Probably should have, though.
電話つないで。
どうも。
A very curt greeting, very uncharacteristic of Frau.
コナちゃんは大丈夫。
オートバランサー調整中。
But then again, she too was there when Gunbuild 2 fell on top of Subaru.
まだ続ける気なんだ。
That's unexpected. Out of all the Robotics Club members, she had the least enthusiasm for the project. Well, other than me. Once again, Kaito, you underestimate the fact that ordinarily that would be true. However, next to Akiho, Frau Kujiro is one of the more enthusiastic voices speaking out in defense of Gun Barrel.
スカスカ頑張れるが倒れたのは私のプログラムが未熟だったからでもあるし。
Seems that Frau is taking the burden of guilt upon her shoulders as well. It wasn't the program that was at fault. It was the conditions. Once again, Akiho should never have really allowed testing to be done in very strong winds. Once again, once again, it's probably not, well, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not any sort of conciliation of anything. However, yeah, on that day, if I'm being honest, there was kind of a lapse of judgment all across the board, from Akiho, Juna, Frau, and even Subaru himself. But at the end of the day, an accident is an accident.
だから、ここ何日かで得たデータ、フィードバックして、オートバランサー改良してる。
I don't think even with your technical skills, Gunbuild 2 could have stood up to those strong winds.
無駄だよ。
And besides, there's another matter that needs to be talked about.
ロボ部は廃部になった。ロボも解体される。もう頑張らなくてもいいんだ。
おう。そういうことはもっと早く言ってほしかったわけだが。
Probably should have, Kaito. She's right, but I've been too busy to think about that. Yeah.
それはそれとして、大事な話がある。
何？
そこ、他に人いない？盗聴器とかない？
公園の展望台の上だよ。
じゃあいいか。
Browse being uncharacteristically serious.
スカスカ頑張れるの事故は単なる事故だけど、それよりも気になるのはイレイ氏の事故の方。
What happened to Mizuka was no accident, Frau.
ハグの暴走は偶然だと思う。
I'm afraid it wasn't. And even Kaito knows that. Kagome playing and all of a sudden her HUG going haywire? I had the same thought.
暴走は300人委員会と旅ストック研究所の警告とかそういうのじゃね。
Not so much as a warning. As a weapons test. Yeah, they did the same thing previously, which is why EXCO has been under intense scrutiny and investigation. Yet thanks to the influence of the Committee of 300, the exoskeleton company has been allowed to keep operating in spite of such tragic events.
もともとエグスケ社のハグ暴走事件はいろいろネット上とかでも怪しい噂がたくさん流れてて。
even with the pending lawsuits Exco has at its feet. Yeah, they're still manufacturing them.
著名人が暴走事故に巻き込まれて死んでる率の高さが異常。どっかの大手企業の偉い人とか財界の大物とか政治家とか。
And even influential people have been affected as well. That's not a
だ
surprise.
から事故に見せかけた恋の陰謀なんじゃないかって話が。
Well, they wouldn't be wrong. After all, this is going in line with what Kimijima published about Project A2.
それを踏まえると、そのイレイ氏の事故も実は裏で誰かが。
それ以上言うな。
Kaito's still sore, and he has every right to be. It is a very delicate subject for him. I take a deep breath in an attempt to calm myself down.
いや、悪いね。さすがにさ、知り合いが亡くなった直後にそういうこと言われるの、気分悪いっていうか。
Passed away isn't the phrase I would use, Kaito. Mizuka Ire was murdered, plain and simple.
でも、確かにコナちゃんの言うことは俺も考えたよ。まさにあの時、俺と水香さんは君島レポートの話をしてたわけだし。
ガチで。
I give Frau a simple rundown of what transpired that day. Mizuka-san was opposed to me collecting the reports. She told me I needed to stop. She said I'd learned something I didn't need to know. What was Mizuka-san trying to hide? I still don't know for sure. I could probably put things together if I really tried, but at the end of the day, it's nothing but a guess. I don't know the truth. Not yet, at least.
それタイミング良すぎってレベルじゃねえぞ。
Indeed, the way the events took place is far too perfect.
ちょっとシャレにならんと思われ。君島レポートって最後の7つ目は拡散キーとかだったっけ？もう拡散したん？
まだ。
Kaito's still pondering his decision whether or not to do so. On the day that Mizuka-san died, Kimijima Report number 7 was downloaded into my Pokecom. I haven't touched it since.
早くしろ。どうなっても知らんぞ。
Unfortunately, something has already happened.
でもさ、本当にいいのかって悩まない。
Well, there'll be consequences once reports number 1 through 6 are distributed worldwide via IRUO. But again, if we let things be, on the other hand, then the Committee of 300 will be pretty much remain unopposed from here on out. Project A2 will continue going forward, and the rest of the events told in the Kimijima reports will unfold. The last few days have been a blur to me, what with Sabaru's accident and Mizuka-san. I still haven't come up with an answer about what to do with the Kimijima reports.
水香さんの件で俺ますます混乱してきたっていうか。 あの人は俺にレポートを探すなって忠告してきた。隠したいことがあるみたいだった。知らない方がいいって言ってた。
She was incredibly adamant. She even referred to the reports themselves as a curse.
でもそれって立場的には300人委員会側ってことでしょ。
And that was something we initially assumed. However, the moment Kaito spoke to her about the Committee of 300 and the Tavistock Institute, Mizuka's reaction was one of surprise and incredulity. She didn't know what either of them were. She'd only gotten her hands on report number 1. But because, she didn't get the rest. Yeah.
だったらなんでその水香さんが死ななきゃいけない。死ぬべきは俺だったはずだ。
If it had been a singular incident, Kaito raises a point. After all, Mizuka was trying to stop him. Under those circumstances, it would make very little sense to kill her when she was the one who was trying to keep him from digging further and further into the truth. In fact, from that logic, her murder would ultimately spur Kaito on to the opposite end, to distribute the reports and hope that people would finally realize the truth about the Committee of 300 and the Tavistock Institute. I don't know why I'm getting those words mixed up, but I am. But tragically, having considered all that, the answer to this question is obvious. This was nothing more than a callous demonstration of the Committee of 300's capabilities. The Committee of 300 didn't murder her because she wanted the truth, or was hoping that Kaito would expose it. She was murdered simply because she happened to be wearing an HUG device, courtesy of the Exoskeleton Company. If she didn't need to wear it, then what happened wouldn't have happened. It's as simple as that. I prefer not to think about it, but if Mizuka-san was one of them, they could have just killed me. They could have just sent somebody in person. I mean, they've done it before in the past. If that accident was part of their plan, I see no reason why Mizuka-san would have to die. That's because, that was yet another example of Project Atum, Kaito. Everything that Ko said in the later Kimijima Reports is once again correct.
何にせよ、ヤシオ先輩は今かなりまずい立場にいる気がする。
You don't say.
俺が？
君島レポートの内容全部知ってるのって多分世界でヤシオ先輩だけだと思われ。
Right now, that might be one of the few reasons why Kaito is still alive in this instance.
しかもそれを拡散する方法まで手にしてる。今この瞬間にスナイパーにヘッドショットされてもおかしくないレベル。
That wouldn't be beyond the means of the committee, of course. However, apart from these tragic events, there've really been no major direct activities from the committee themselves. It's possible that Tanegashima Island is still beneath their notice, in which case they won't be actively looking for Kaito at all. Then again, Kimijima was murdered, so they must have gotten to him somehow on the island.
今すぐ全部放り出して守りに徹するべきでしょ、上皇。
Unfortunately, doing so would shatter the hopes that Kimijima had for exposing the truth of the committee. Not to mention that going into hiding clearly didn't work out for him. And speaking of which, your mother Minami did the same thing, and look what happened to her. She's vanished.
これは中二病とかじゃなくてガチで。どこに資格が潜んでるかわからんわな。君島公だって死んだ。
And as we've witnessed before, the committee is certainly capable of brainwashing individuals into following their plans.
頑張れるのアニメのスタッフも。
The 13 people.
多分私のママも。ヤシオ先輩には死んでほしくない。
In a rare display for Frau, she stares straight at me through the screen, pleading with me. She usually can't make eye contact.
300人委員会から逃げるために一度どこかに潜伏した方がよくね。
After what happened to Ko and Minami, simply hiding, burying our heads from the truth, isn't going to help anything. We've already come too far, just to throw it all away.
先輩。
And besides, they've given us all the incentive we ever need to keep moving forward.
そういうわけにもいかないんだよな。
The committee needs to answer for what happened to Mizuka.
でもロボ部もうないって。
部はね。
お前は何を言っているんだ。
I still haven't heard from Akiho about what she plans on doing. That's why I can't give my final answer just yet.
ちなみにさ、コナちゃんって東京に戻るつもりはあるわけ？
なんでそんなこと聞くん？まさか同棲希望ぬですか？それなんてエロゲ。
Frau seems to be feeling much better.
同棲ってわけじゃないけど、東京に家があるなら万博の期間中止めてもらうのも手だなって。
That might work.
なんだと？
Unfortunately, our entry into the expo has been revoked.
万博まだ出るつもりとか、ちょっと何言ってるかわかんないです。
可能性の話さ。
A very faint possibility at that, Kaito.
付き合いきれんわけだが、もっと深刻に受け止めるべき。死んでもいいの？
よくはないけど。
She's right. Considering everything that's happened, there'd be nothing strange about me getting iced. With that in mind, I can't afford to be questioning myself like this.
コナちゃん、忠告ありがとう。それじゃあ切るよ。
Too late, Frau. After hanging up, I start up IRUO. Sister Centipede is quietly standing a short distance away. She's like a stalker. But that's not her fault, given the nature of her existence. Sister Centipede is currently tied to my Pokecom after all.
ゲージね、君島レポートだけど。
はい、どうしますか？
拡散することにした。
There'll be consequences either way, but this is the best move we've got. Sister Centipede nods her head ever so slightly.
君島レポートのすべての情報を拡散するためには、君島レポートナンバー7を起動してください。
I can't predict what will happen, so we just have to wait and see how this all unfolds.
それにより、自動的に世界中に点在するIRUOの全サーバーへと転送され、ランダムで世界各地に AR アノテーションが作成されます。なお、以後は爆発的に情報が拡散していくことが予想されます。
I think that was Ko's intention there, Sister Centipede.
考え直すなら、これが最後のチャンスです。
I don't think any reconsideration is necessary at this point. If I don't do this now and I end up getting killed by an assassin, and because of that, billions of people die. I deserve worse, far worse than a peaceful death. Ko Kimijima would have died in vain if I failed after he trusted me with this responsibility. Mizuka-san tried to stop me, but she didn't realize the gravity of the situation. I have to do this. On the night that Mizuka-san died, I lay in bed, terrified that we'd get hit by a solar storm. This responsibility is too much for me to bear alone. Which is why I'm going to shed this burden. That being said, Kaito, your role in this story is far from over. I'm going to let the entire world make the rest of the decisions.
やるよ。
はい。
I tap away at my Pokecom. Time has come. Let's do this. And activate Kimijima Report number 7. All it contains is a single word. Head in hand. The password needed to access report number 1. Ko really does have a sense of humor after all. To the citizens of Earth, please heed this warning. And brace for the coming conspiracy. A conspiracy that has gone on for more than a decade. And people need to be aware of that. This is too much for me alone, which is why I entrust this information to all of you.
できれば、俺の身元は割れませんように。
A very forlorn hope in the world of social media. After letting out a small prayer, I close IRUO. Unknown, Akiho Sonomiya.
秋は何をやっても平凡止まりなのよ。
Once again, the words that Misaki left her younger sibling. That was what Big Sis said to me after she graduated, right when she was leaving the island. She was right. And it's like Akiho is holding a stick. I was going to say that there was a fishing line, but there's no reel attached to it, so it's just a plain old stick. I couldn't be like my big sister. Yeah, an observation that for some reason people have never gotten tired of pointing out to Akiho. For as long as I can remember, all I could do was chase after her. I'd happily go on and on about how amazing my big sis was while watching her from far away. My older sister and I have always been a weird pair. The two of us never did anything but watch mecha anime. That was mostly Dad's fault, yeah. Kudos, Kenichiro. On days off, the two of us would lock ourselves in Dad's study and watch old anime all day long. On nice days, we'd go out into the yard and roleplay our favorite scenes. We'd use sticks on the ground as beam sabers.
エゴだよ、それは。地球が持たん時が来ているのだ。
Yeah, two children being very Shunibyu indeed. We were like a couple of young boys.
いつか一緒にガンバムを作ろうよ、アキ。ガンバム？作れるの？今は無理だけど、いつか。ガンバムじゃなくてもいい。大きなロボットを。じゃあ、うちとお姉ちゃんでロボットを作って、それでね、カイに操縦してもらおうよ。いい考えね。
Looks like your fate was sealed right from the get-go, Kaito Yashio.
だったらその時のためにカイを今からしっかり鍛えておかないと。
But
私はもう夢を追えないの。
At some point, there was that moment where Misaki... Yeah. Where she changed. Following the wake of what happened to Ko. And again, very little has been revealed about the details. That's what Big Sis said on the day that the Juro Tanegashima High Robotics Research Association became a club. It was the first time in my life that I'd heard my older sister sound so weak. Her entire first year in high school, she worked her butt off in order to make her club a reality. So when that day finally came, why did she say something like that? I was just an elementary schooler at the time, but no, even now I still don't understand how she felt that day. Perhaps it was that, much like me now, a lot of things happened that made her lose hope. Tragic things.
ねえ、アキ。あなたが私の夢を叶えてくれると嬉しい。あなたは私なんかよりよっぽどロボットのこと好きでいるもの。
That is true. I still remember the look on her face when she said those words to me. It looked just a little bit lonely. It looked just a little bit sad. And it was on that day that my dream was set in stone. I would fulfill the promise I made with my beloved older sister. That's why I said it out loud.
秋は何をやっても平凡止まりなのよ。
In response to those words,
お姉ちゃんの言う通りだけど、お姉ちゃんの夢はきっとうちが叶えるから。それまで東京で待ってて。お姉ちゃん。
I slowly open my eyes. It's like it's morning at Akiho's house. That moment, a single tear falls from the corner of my eye and runs along my temple. That was the day that Akiho's path in life was set. Unfortunately, yeah. The Robotics Club has been shattered. Was I crying? I realized right after that I'm in my room and on my bed. A dream, huh? More so a memory. Still half asleep, I rub my eyes. I slowly sit up. It's been a while since I last dreamt about my sister. And I really do have a sister complex. I love her way too much. Not that that's a bad thing. I'm just a hopeless little sister whose feelings for a distant sibling have gone unrequited for years. I tightly grip my chest through my pajamas. I feel a heart-rending pain throbbing inside. Robot figurines and plastic models line the nearby shelves. Among them, my gaze is naturally drawn to one plastic model in particular. The first plastic model I ever got. A 1/100 scale master grade model red Zaku. Right next to it stands the Gundam that Big Sis got.
ねえ、お姉ちゃん。やっぱりうち諦めきれないよ。お姉ちゃんとの約束果たしたいもん。
Back then, how could I have known that pursuing a dream could be this painful, this sorrowful, and this unforgivable? Why does it have to be like this? There are many reasons, Akiho, many reasons. Why does nothing ever turn out right for me? My emotions come welling up to the surface in a confused mess. I pull my knees close to me and bury my face in them. Alas. Well, that's what adversity is, Akiho. And it's the next day. Well, Well, it's the rest of the day, the 29th. Kaito has returned to the old airport for the first time in a long time. This is where this episode of Let's Play Robotics Notes Elite will end, and when we return, we'll just have to wait and see what comes of the distribution of the Kimijima Reports. As always, until next we meet.